Shoot 'em ups, or shmups if you prefer, are a dime a dozen in the world of gaming, especially in Japan where the genre is respected as one of the most popular, most awesome, most absolutely mind-crushing game types. Classics like Gradius, Life Force, 1942, Darius, and Raiden helped cement the shmup as a mainstay in the industry, and while they're not as numerous or popular as they were in their arcade heyday, developers the world over are still finding ways to reinvigorate the genre. Recent examples include Retrograde, as well as frequent quality offerings from Cave, including Death Smiles and Dodonpachi Resurrection. Back in 2002, though, Treasure came along with a shmup that redefined what could be done with the confines of the genre. Expanding on the groundwork laid in their own Radiant Silvergun, that game was Ikaruga, which originally released in Japan on the Dreamcast, but was ported to the GameCube worldwide in 2003. Ikaruga is a bullet hell shmup, meaning there's rarely a moment when the screen isn't completely filled with bullets. You play as either Shinra or Kagari, two pilots rebelling against the Divine Ones, a massive army seeking conquest through their discovery of the power of the gods, which has granted them, as you can imagine, unimaginable amounts of power. It looks like your typical one-man versus 1,000 shmup setup, but Ikaruga houses a ton of lore based around the game's locations, factions, and origins of the player characters and their ships, as well as the bosses. It was a thoroughly interesting universe and easily had one of the most fleshed-out settings ever seen in the genre thus far. Much like Dark Souls, all this lore is not immediately apparent, opting for a show-don't-tell approach to its placement in the game. It's also worth mentioning that Ikaruga has a strangely touching ending, another rarity within the genre. The game featured no weapon power-ups or ship upgrades. In true bullet hell fashion, it was just you and a motherload of enemy ships. At any time, you were able to switch your ship's polarity between light and dark, and this is where Ikaruga's sheer depth lied. While light, you could absorb any light bullets fired by the enemy and deal extra damage to dark ships. Same thing for the dark polarity, the other way around. You could absorb dark bullets and deal extra damage to light ships. Taking a single bullet from the opposite polarity would cause you to explode and lose a life. As such, and as difficult as this game is, you most likely won't go 10 seconds without switching polarity. This is especially true for the game's final boss, which has you switching on a half-second basis. You wouldn't just be switching polarities to avoid dying, though. The system is also directly tied to the game's score mechanics. Shooting down 3 ships of the same color in a row would award you with a multiplier. Continually killing enemies in threes would allow your score to skyrocket, giving you that higher grade at the end of each stage. Absorbing projectiles also built your energy gauge, which could be spent to unleash a screen-clearing beam attack. Doing so could compromise your score combo, so it was a crutch with a drawback essentially. But it looked pretty damn cool, and Ikaruga knows how to be cool. Despite being 11 years old, the game has aged very well. The whole polarity mechanic translates into the game's graphics, the game's buildings, and ship designs. The environments themselves are an interesting blend of nature and industry, an example being a network of high-powered lasers wreaking havoc in the middle of a canyon, or a vast army of ships raining hellfire on an unassuming town below. Also, when you defeat a boss, you are treated to the single greatest explosion you will ever see. So awesome is this explosion that it gut punches the game's immaculate 60 frames per second. Re-releases of the game also feature customizable elements to the game's HUD, like the placement of score and energy gauge indicators, and the ability to remove the borders on widescreen TVs. One option to flip the game's perspective horizontally comes with the unexpected warning that doing so might make your TV burst into flames if it can't support that option. Probably a load of crap, we're just saying, but we were too scared to try. So hey, if you want to go for it, be our guest, but Sumonix does not accept any liability. The sound design was breathtaking. The music always seemed to kick in when the action really heated up, and successfully purveyed a sense of melancholic tension during the boss fights. One thing we will always remember about the game is your ship's robotic navigator, which shouts, "Energy Max!" each time your energy gauge fills up. It also goes ape whenever a boss shows up, with that blaring warning siren and screen pop-up. All in all, Ikaruga just oozes cool from every one of its pores. It's tough, but its approach to bullet pattern design actively stimulates your brain power and special awareness. Listen, if you want to become better at games, playing games like this is the way to go. It's going to improve your reaction time, it's going to improve your reflexes. None of this is proven, but hey, people on TV feed us crap every day, so why can't I? While it's not for the faint of heart, Ikaruga certainly is one of the best shoot-em-ups ever made, and should not be missed by anyone with even a passing interest in hardcore shmups.